welcome back to the Lowry, today's third and final ceremony of the University of Salford graduation. Presentation of more than 400 graduates from the School of Healthcare. Graduates will be presented to the Chancellor of the University of Salford, Professor Sir Martin Harris. Graduates will each see their certificate plus a limited edition print by Salford artist Harold Riley. There will also be an honorary award made to Maxine Wrigley, Chief Executive of A National Voice. Maxine was formally appointed in December 2001. She works tirelessly for equal rights for people raised in care. One of Maxine's roles is to improve services by informing and influencing national policy and decision makers. This involves regularly briefing peers and MPs, and she contributes directly to government policy papers, white paper working groups, and gives oral evidence to the Department for Children, Schools and Families Select Committee. Maxine is a graduate of the University of Salford School of Media, Music and Performance. Well, the procession's just about to begin, so stay with us and I'll be back soon.
I declare this congregation open for the conferment of degrees. Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, graduands, families and friends. Welcome to the graduation ceremony this afternoon, and an especially warm welcome to all of those of you who are graduating today, your families, friends and guests. It gives me particular pleasure too to welcome also to this ceremony Maxine Wrigley, a Salford graduate who is now Chief Executive of A National Voice, a charity dedicated to the needs of young people in care. Of her achievements we shall hear more shortly. Graduation marks the successful completion of a demanding programme of study, a moment to savour for the graduates themselves, for their partners, parents and friends, and for all of us in this university. You will all be, justifiably, immensely proud of what you've achieved, and this, above all, is what we're celebrating together here today. I too am enormously proud to be Chancellor of a university which I first joined as a young lecturer some 36 years ago. My life thereafter took me in many different directions, but my affection for this university, which gave me so many chances very early in my career, remains undimmed. I hope and believe that many of those of you graduating today will also be able to look back in years to come with pleasure and hopefully with gratitude towards this university for what it will have helped you to become. I'm proud too to be speaking for this university in the Great Lowry Centre, here in the heart of Salford, one of England's most successful Millennium projects. I still remember vividly the weekend 8 years ago when this wonderful set of cultural facilities was opened with fanfares and fireworks, joined later by the Imperial War Museum just across the water. But I was privileged to be here again just over 1 year ago to celebrate something perhaps even more important, the signing of the contracts which will create Europe's finest media city, with major departments of the BBC at its core, right here on Salford Quays. This huge project, which is growing with amazing speed just next door, as you'll have seen on the way in, will not only accelerate still further the regeneration of the city of Salford, but will further enhance Greater Manchester's position as Britain's second conurbation, with a world-class presence in the media and creative industries to complement what is already in place in so many other fields across the two cities and more widely. The opportunities for the University of Salford in this context are truly exciting, and negotiations are well underway which aspire to place key activities of the university here in the very heart of Media City, both the university in its own right, but also in collaboration with many others from industry and the private sector and from other universities worldwide. And that leads me to say something about the university itself. It's not for nothing that Manchester prides itself on being Britain's knowledge capital, with more jobs for graduates than anywhere else outside London. The conurbation's universities contribute very profoundly to the creation of a culture into which others, public and private, wish to invest, which in turn ensures that the dynamic changes and improvements which benefit our fellow citizens and which are so increasing the prosperity of our two cities continue to flourish. And at the same time, our traditional strengths continue. Teaching excellence has always been a key part of this university's mission, alongside a proud record of applied and applicable research, readily available to the local community and to businesses large and small, something which has been so distinctive a part of this university's mission since its very earliest days. And now the new opportunities of Media City will add further lustre to this university's contribution to the region, the nation and the world. Let me now say just a few words about the school whose students are graduating today. The School of Healthcare Professions has continued to develop innovative student learning opportunities by the development of the first e-learning master's programme in occupational therapy, which will enable us to further expand our international market and to develop also the UK's first pregnancy, aquatic nutrition and health module. The school has continued to capitalise on its strengths to secure further prestigious partnerships which integrate teaching, research and enterprise, and which contribute to the enhancement of the student experience. Building on our successful contribution to the Salford City Reds partnership, the school is now engaged with Lancashire County Cricket Club and Manchester City Football Club to provide fitness testing and podiatry services, and is working with Seton Skoll International to undertake product design trials and advise on the gold standard for the establishment of a Centre for Foot Health Excellence in Chennai in India. The school has successfully secured funding from our partners at NHS North West to re-equip our radiography and clinical simulation areas, thus ensuring that our student clinical learning experience continues to be supported by state-of-the-art facilities. And alongside our partners in the School of Nursing, the School of Healthcare Professions contributes ever more to the well-being of our fellow citizens locally, regionally and nationally. There are just two more points I would like to make before we get on with the important part of the ceremony. I mentioned earlier that the University of Salford makes a key contribution to Greater Manchester as a knowledge-led conurbation, not just through its research and advanced teaching, but through its understanding of the role which major universities play in the economic and social regeneration of the areas in which they are situated. The rising prosperity of the twin cities of Salford and Manchester, and I've lived in both for more than 30 years, is due in no small measure to this contribution, and the university's own major investment plans will take the renaissance of central Salford one step further. The creation of Media City here in Salford, complementing major investments in science and medicine on both sides of the Irwell, will create a new partnership of equals which bodes very well for the future. Indeed, this is to me the most exciting city for Salford, city and university, for many decades. And all of this Salford University has done while always seeking out students from all backgrounds who have the capacity to benefit from the programmes it offers and the career choices which these bring. As Director of the Office of Fair Access, I am of course particularly appreciative of Salford's ongoing programme of social inclusion, which is not something designed simply to meet some current bureaucratic or political initiative, but is rather ingrained in this university's philosophy, a philosophy as old as the institution itself, of giving opportunities to as many students as possible who can benefit from them regardless of their family background. Particularly impressive is the record of opportunity given to local young people from a city where educational attainment is now improving sharply. I say to the university today that this is something to be proud of and to celebrate, and I am certainly delighted to be Chancellor of a university which successfully achieves these goals. And finally, back to our graduates. Today is your day, and we celebrate with you. Remember that you're now part of this university for life, as a graduate, as an alumnus, a worldwide body of Salford graduates who share so much. Do keep in touch over the years ahead, wherever in the end you live and work. The links and friendships you have made here are made for life. And who knows, one day you may be able to contribute as an alumnus to the Supporting the Future Trust to help your successors, as your predecessors have certainly helped you. Graduands, I and all those here today applaud your achievement. Be proud of your degree, be proud of your university, and use that degree to the very best of your ability for yourself, for your family, and for the society of which you are part. Graduands, I salute you.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you today Maxine Wrigley, MBE. Aside from her later achievements in life, for example, advising the Secretary of State, Children's Minister and Prime Minister, being awarded the MBE, and frequenting both Houses of Parliament as a consultant, there is an earlier story about Maxine, which distills the poignant mix of pain, resilience, and irony of life in our childcare system today. Maxine was taken into care when she was just a few days old, due to her mother's mental distress. When she was 15 and living in a children's home in Manchester, she was constantly being mistaken for a girl called Jennifer who lived nearby. In true detective style, Maxine tracked down this person and was utterly amazed to meet a young woman who looked exactly like her. After comparing toenails in a car park in Burnage, the two knew beyond a doubt that they were sisters. Jennifer took her home, and that is how Maxine came to meet her real mother. Now, most people would be angry about this, feel let down by the system. But Maxine understands, forgives, and channels her anger into a campaigning zeal which aims to improve services for children and young people in the care system in England. I asked Maxine about her award for bravery, wondering perhaps if she received this for her encounters with government ministers. Apparently not. She put her life in danger during a robbery by standing in between the victim and his knife-wielding assailant, and by skillfully talking the assailant into running away. She refuses any talk of heroism and says that there are many more legitimate heroes in the care system. Maxine believes that the real experts are the experts by experience, those who use services, and that they should be at the heart of designing, managing, and evaluating those services. This has been her quest, both as a volunteer and now as chief executive of a national voice. Few organisations focus so strongly upon hearing the voices of those in care. Maxine gained her first degree here at Salford, aged 27. This in itself was quite an achievement, considering that in Britain, only 1% of care leavers ever go to university, while a quarter of all prisoners and 80% of big issue sellers have been in care. After her degree, she freely admits that the stress of her final year and the feeling that she had to hide her past led to a breakdown. Years later, she views this through the eyes of a researcher. 27, she says, is the most common age for suicide. For me, there were major issues of abandonment deeply buried. She goes on to say that the government focus is often on educational, practical, and financial needs, but emotional support for those in care is much more important. If you feel loved, wanted, and respected, she says, then lots can follow from that. You can overcome a great deal. Young people in care too often feel unloved, and huge problems can come from that. For the final accolade on Maxine, I would like to quote Lord Herbert Laming, CBE, DL. Lord Laming is known well as a campaigner for social justice. He chaired the inquiry into the tragic death of Victoria Clambier and has worked very closely with Maxine. He said, "I am absolutely delighted that Maxine is being awarded an honorary degree by Salford University. I am thrilled that the university recognise just how much she has promoted the rights of children and young people in public care. She is an example of how these young people, with the right support, can be outstanding human beings." Lord Laming ends by saying that working with Maxine has always been an immense honour and a pleasure. "I am very fond of her," he says. "I admire her greatly. Please give her a congratulatory hug from me." There is absolutely no doubt that she is a fighter, a defiant and single-minded champion working to empower young children and people. Chancellor, I present for the degree of Master of Arts honoris causa, Maxine Wrigley, MBE.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by this university, I confer on you the degree of Master of Arts honoris causa. Many congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm going to keep this really brief, just to say I'm very honoured to be here today. I'm really excited to be back at a Salford graduation. In '94, my friend and Katie, who's here with me today, we came to our graduation, but we sat in the audience with our jeans on and didn't come up with the cap and gown. So I'm actually really, excited the fact that I'm actually going to be wearing a cap and gown today. So I didn't do it on the first time round. So. Okay, I just want to tell you a little bit about A National Voice. You probably haven't heard of it. We've only got 4 staff, very small. It's a national charity. We work with young people from care. I'm sure you've worked that out. And one of the main things we do at National Voice is try and inspire people. And we particularly try and inspire young people who've been through the care system. And there's 60,000 children in the care system today. One of the things we really want to do is try and inspire young people to think that they can go on to do well in life. Because obviously some of the things that happen in the care system and some of the reasons people come into care can be a little bit, can put barriers in people's way. So I just want to read a little bit about some work we've been doing around positive role models and inspiring people. There's a lot of famous people from care that people don't know about, and also an issue that we have is around young people being perceived as youth offenders when they're living in children's homes. Actually, youth offenders are a whole different group of young people, and a lot of public polls reveal that the public often mix up the two groups. So, what did Marilyn Monroe, John Lennon and Malcolm X have in common? Well, yes, they're famous people, but that's not the interesting thing. The answer is that they are people who experience some type of care, as were many comic book superheroes like Superman and Spider-Man. This elite list also contains the names of fictional characters such as Tracy Beaker and Harry Potter. It's quite strange, I feel a bit like Harry Potter. As well as some mythological or religious figures like Jesus and Moses. That may come with the care experience and pursue many goals and achieve success. Of course, some of these folk just got lucky in terms of their experiences and the mythological people or the storybook comic heroes. Some young people from care don't get as lucky, as is demonstrated from Annette's speech just there. Some of the people that I know the audience today is not particularly related to social care, and there's some sports people here. Chris Akabusi, Fatima Whitbread, Colin Jackson, they're amongst a longer list of people who've been through the care system and done really well in their lives and experienced some really good successes. Other people include Samantha Morton, the Hollywood actress, Mark Bright, the footballer and pundit from Match of the Day, Kathy Burke, the actress, and Richard Burton, Charlie Chaplin, Goldie the DJ, Neil Morrissey. These are all people who have publicly come out to say that they experience time in care or time being adopted, but actually they got through that and got through to the other side. So that's really what we do at National Voice. We try to inspire young people so that they're aware that just because maybe you had a difficult start in life doesn't necessarily mean that you can't go on to achieve really good things. Just to say that the award that I've got today is dedicated to the people I work with and to the 60,000 children who live in the care system. It's also particularly relevant to dedicate it to some of my colleagues. There's a young lady who's just turned 25 who works with me who got a first-class degree in Salford 2 years ago, called Claire. She's here today, and she got herself onto the course without any of the usual support that people have from families, and she did so well that she got herself first here 2 years ago, so I'm really pleased that she's here as well. But to dedicate the award in general to all the young people from care, and also to say thank you very much, and I'm really excited to have the award. Thank you for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, each postgraduate student will be presented individually for their award. Chancellor, on behalf of the Institute of Health and Social Care Research, for the Doctor of Philosophy, Lee Carl Harrington. For the Master of Philosophy, Julian Oliver Hatcher. On behalf of the Faculty of Health and Social Care, for the Master of Science, Public Health and Society, Angela Cynthia Aitken.
Ladies and gentlemen, undergraduate students will be presented for their awards in groups of 3. I would be grateful if applause could take place after the final name in each group of 3 is announced. Thank you. Chancellor, on behalf of the School of Healthcare Professions, I present for the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Applied Sports Science. Robert David Bell, Daniel Stephen Brokenbrow, Ashley Burkitt. Andrew Michael Connaughton, Sarah Cook, Danielle Dillon. Ben Fallows, Matthew David Fielding, Kieran Thomas Fowkes. Paul Gaffney, Nathan Harrison, Rebecca Jane Hind. Alice Bernadette Kerford, Tahir Ahmed Mir, Danny Nixon. Owen Patrick Phelan, John Nevin Radcliffe, Sarah Louise Stockton. Christy Lee Todd and Sarah Louise Watton. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Diagnostic Radiography, Tanya Dawn Abbott, Samira Nazir Ahmed, Gemma Martha Battle. Karen Elizabeth Bridge, Deborah Michelle Cooper, Louise Amanda Cooper. Faye Drummond, Jolene Kirsty Eden, Lindsay Jill Frau. Catherine Ann Gleeson, Jeffrey Gawley, Penelope Karen Rose Gawley. Rebecca Elizabeth Granger, Elizabeth Grundy, Laura Jane Hemmings. Rebecca Holt, Louisa Jane Johnston, Matthew Kilheeney. Gemma Copeman, Adina Charlotte Links, Karina Liptrot. Danielle Maria Marriott, Claire McChrystal, Thomas McGuinn. Andrew Stewart Meredith, Jenny Faye Millen, Fumani Letitia Mpuzu. Christopher Narden, Sarah Jane O'Kell, Laura Ann Ormondroyd. Sadia Rafiq, Heather Ann Rainey, Saqib Rasool. Sarah Louise Richardson, Gemma Risk, Nicola Sheridan. Madeline Gemma Steele, Jill Louise Teese, Helen Elizabeth Thompson. Pauline Ann Woods and Yan Yong. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Healthcare, Oliver Charles Gray. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Midwifery, Azra Akhtar, Lucy Ann Arling, Suzanne Banford. Emma Louise Barnes, Rebecca Bagel, Caroline Bentham. Fatima Bai, Diane Braithwaite, Deborah Lynn Brunt. Catherine Ann Cole, Sarah Marie Cornell, Judith Ann Davis. Claire Elizabeth Downton, Rebecca Laura Firth, Danielle Marie Gilbert. Jane Carol Ann Griffiths, Alison Michelle Grundy, Kirsty Louise Harvey. Lynette Holden, Catherine Amy Holt, Claire Louise Ibbotson. Frances Ireland, Joanne Kitchen, Vanessa Marie Lee. Zoe Marie McAndrew, Alexandra Claire Miller, Donna Marie Morris. Hayley Louise Mumford, Barbara O'Donnell, Deborah Jane Parker. Cheryl Ann Phillips, Carolyn Elizabeth Roodhouse, Laura Scragg. Lisa Southward, Gemma Louise Swindles, Rachel Vining. Anna Marie White, Alexa Jane Whittle, Nicola Louise Wood. And Stacey Wrigley. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Midwifery Practice, Tracy Beaton, Catherine Ann Cairns, Fiona Sarah Cooper. Janet Ann Cotton, Andrea Collette Henry, Colleen Jennings. Jane Elizabeth Manning, Pamela Christine McGill, Leah Moran. And Susan Sweeney. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Occupational Therapy, John Allen, Celia Andrews, Jenna Elizabeth Appleby. Sue Birch, Heather Louise Blakemore, Jane Bowden. Joanna Margaret Bradbury, Patricia Branting, Gillian Marie Brown. Natalie Ann Brunker, Sophie Carter, Yvonne Louise Clark. Joanne Elizabeth Clisham Marsh, Sarah Louise Corbett, Nicola Jane Cowp. Lindsay Ann Coyle, Neve Daly, Heather Daniels. Annette Dickinson, Ruth Ann Dutton, Laura Jane Emmett. Amandine Florec, Claire Frayne, Laura Kate French. Corinne Louise Gallagher, Rachel Elizabeth Gill, Samantha Claire Golding. Yelise Greenhill, Leslie Ann Hall, Lavinia Ann Hardy. Charlotte Higginbotham, Deborah Hyam, Amy Louise Hopkins. Shanika Jayawardena, Wendy Jane Kitchen, Jack Leavesley. Ella Shiva Livshin, Angela Claire Lloyd, Kerry Marie Lord. David Lowe, Laura Stephanie Malley, Margaret McHugh. Suzanne McBride, Michelle Mary Moore, Zoe Louise Morris. Gemma Newton, Helen Marie Orme, Samantha Ann O'Shea. Charlotte Marie Parry, Claire Danielle Poole, Amanda Ramsbottom. Ruth Caroline Roberts, Jane Helen Shaw, Nicolette Susan St Barb. Kirsten Mary Stewart, Louise Claire Stratton, Anne Stubbs. Sarah Mary Edith Tarbuck, Jacqueline Tate, Sarah Jane Tomlinson. Helen Jane Walker, Catherine Whiteman, Karen Marie Whitaker. Hayley Elizabeth Wilkinson and Jenna Young. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Physiotherapy, Laura Grace Alexander, Corinne K. Allmark, Dawn Marilyn Anderson. Stephen Jeffrey Barrett, Carly Billington, Samantha Jane Burgess. Ewan Gregory Burns, Kaylee Ann Clitheroe, Jacqueline Louise Coleman. Julie Collier, Gemma Elizabeth Coombs, Claire Louise Coop. Sarah Jane Curry, Ellen Wynne Davis, Kimberly Hannah Dean. Emma Louise Dewar, Amelia Chantala Didsbury, Jane Louise Deenan. Mark Richard Donaldson, Stephen Thomas Donegan, Petrus Van Wyck Duplessis. Paul Edgar, Dale Leon Gibbons, Louisa Jane Gill. Wayne Gill, Samantha Daniel Guest, Kirsten Amy Hardiman. Claire Louise Hartley, Sarah Elizabeth Hill, Andrea Hutton. Andrew James Jackson, Max James Jackson, Peter Keith Jackson. Carol Fian James, Eleanor Ruth Jones, Kate Elizabeth Jones. Philippa Louise Jones, Sarah Lee, Victoria Ann Lloyd. Rebecca Louise McLaughlin, Joanne Claire Malkin, Carolyn Elizabeth Ann Marr. Sarah Leanne Morris, Peter Murdoch, Carl Matthew Nancini. Jamie Oldroyd, Ian James Pearce, Charlotte Pearce. Jessica Susan Pocock, Joanne Ramsbotham, Nicola Rawson. Samuel Thomas Rhodes, Rachel Ryder, Rune Roxburgh. Sean Russell, Janet Karen Scowcroft, Peter Richard Shelmerdine. Katie Skelton, Alison Jane Sloan, Amanda Jane Swift. Catherine Jane Thomas, Joanne Thornton, Adam James Walsh. Annabelle Sean Weaver, Ruth Wilkes, Deborah Wilson. Catherine Wise, Joseph Woodcock, Robert Adam Woodhead. And Sarah Wordingham Baker. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Podiatry, Elizabeth Sarah Yearsley Baker. Victoria Barker, Zara Louise Bingham. Deborah Bird, Katie Lynn Blackburn, Emma Bolton. Caris Helen Boyle, Anne Cameron, Catherine Anna Carlin. Gwen Charnock, Cheryl Chua Cheng, Kerry Janine Chidgey. Gemma Susan Cosgrave, Rebecca Rose Crook, Catherine Ann Dean. Sarah Kathleen Douglas, Denise Maria Droog, Nicola Fan. Emma Louise Fletcher, Kathy Michelle Gibson, Leslie Grady. Josie Elizabeth Griffiths, Lisa Marie Harley, Anthony Hibbert. Susan Rita Hopkins, Simone Howarth, Neil Grant Hurley. Dermot Thomas Heinen, Paula James, Donna Jane Muriel Jerome. Christine Patricia Jordan, Shelley Suzanne Jordan, Victoria Grace King. Scott Kelvin Leonard, Kin Farlung, Jeanette Lewis. Jessica Livesey, Rezwana Khanum Malik, Julie Miriam McKinley. Dawn Heather McLaughlin, Somia Mubin, Jeanette Alma Mullen. Angela Marie Nelson, Susan Wendy Nichols, Kimberly Lisa Prince. Amy Louise Revens, Edward David Rosenfield, Paul Anthony Rowley. Gavin James Skean, Sabrina Smith, Danielle Louise Stevenson. Andrea Michelle Thornley, Helen Margaret Turner, Gemma Louise Walsh. Claire Doreen Ann Webster, Elizabeth Whiting, Ronwen Jane Williams. Annette Glennis Willis, Karen Louise Winstanley, Catherine Nicola Woods. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours Prosthetics and Orthotics, Haidar Abdali, Robin Elizabeth Ball, Jonathan Allen Bell. Philip John Brereton, Pamela Marie Coulton, Gudrun Viborg Eosdottir. William Andrew Hardman, Lindsay Holding, Joanne Marie Shirley Lucas. Danielle McClelland, Mohammed Yahya Nasir, Anne Christine Oidu. Helen Jane Richardson, Raquel Rodrigo Martinez, Carolyn Royce. Tirza Elizabeth Russell, Sahar Siddiqui, Rachel Victoria Taylor. Jennifer Ann Thorpe and Daniel Peter Wardle. For the award of Bachelor of Science with Honours Sports Rehabilitation, Nicola Joy Athey, Daniel Paul Baker, Melody Barjasta Mohibi. Sarah Kate Bibby, Joanne Louise Buckley, Katie Ann Burrows. Jane Sharon Carter, Robin Ian Krebin, Ruth Crawler. William John Goutage, Annika Alexandria Grachik, Ian John Harigi. Abigail Kinder, Nicholas Charles Lawrence, Michelle Louise Lawrence. Helen Moy, Katie Louise McKee, Kate Louise McLaughlin. Heather Miller, Michelle Mohidin, Deborah Louise Morris. Victoria May O'Donnell, Peter Dimitri Parashkeva, Bethan Peace. Laurie Benjamin Polk, Gary Lee Prescott, Patrick Edward Robertson. Daniel Rothwell, Christopher Andrew Roxburgh, Rachel Ann Sharp. Richard James Snedden, Callum Arthur Stone, Lindsay Catherine Whittaker. And Nicole Louise Woodward. For the award of Bachelor of Science in Healthcare, Lucy Jane Hickey and Lynn Emily Smart. Owen Phelan.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're just coming to the end of a week of degree ceremonies in which the university celebrates the achievements of all its graduates. Just before we close, I wonder if I could ask you to give our special thanks to two groups. First of all, to the university music students, led by Howard Evans, who've played for every ceremony this week. Can we give them a big hand, please? I'd like you also to thank a group who you perhaps haven't seen but have been enormously helpful, and that's the student film crew who've been working with the BBC, led by Wilfred Darlington, who've done the live webcast all this week, and thanks to them too. But most of all, I'd like us all now to join a great round of applause for our new graduates. Well done, everybody. I now declare this ceremony closed.
for the last time today and indeed for this year. We hope you've enjoyed celebrating our graduates' achievements as much as we've enjoyed bringing them to you. So from the University of Salford Graduation 2008, goodbye.